The broken light. The call came in at 2:07 a.m. Jared's head was buried beneath the hood of an old pickup, the kind that coughed black smoke and screamed for retirement 5 years ago. He'd just gotten off a double shift at the garage. His fingers were still stained with grease and engine oil. His back ached. His phone, tossed beside an empty thermos, buzzed again and again. Unknown number. He almost ignored it. Almost. But something made him answer. Maybe it was the silence of the night. Maybe it was the tremble in the woman's voice when she spoke. "Are you the mechanic who also does home repair work?" she asked, breathless. "Yeah, on occasion. I need a light fixed. Tonight." "Tonight?" he scoffed, wiping his hands on a rag. "Lady, it's past 2. I'll pay double, no triple, just please, it's urgent." Jared paused. Her voice wasn't the desperate, breathy kind he'd heard from rich clients who wanted someone to climb into their mansion and tighten a screw. This was different. This was fear, and fear, Jared knew, had many sounds. He'd heard it in screams on accident scenes, in the quiet sobs of mothers outside ERs, in the hollow voices of broken men telling lies to cops. He knew this one too well. "All right," he said finally, "text me the address." The moment he pulled up, everything felt wrong. The building was too quiet, a skyscraper of tinted glass and silent wealth, the kind of place where secrets slept. Behind velvet curtains. The front desk was empty, but a key card was waiting with his name on it. PH, Penthouse. He rode the elevator up, watching the floor numbers climb, each ding loud in the dead silence. His reflection in the mirrored wall looked tired, older than his 32 years. A mechanic who'd spent more time fixing other people's lives than his own. When the elevator doors opened, he stepped into another world. Soft classical music floated in the air, but it didn't match the atmosphere. The hallway was dim. Marble floors reflected faint light from wall sconces. Expensive art lined the walls, all sharp angles and tortured faces. Then the door at the end opened, and she stepped out. Her name was Evelyn Moore. Even if he hadn't recognized her face from magazine covers and fundraisers, the way she moved, like glass over ice, you screamed old money. But something about her was off. She was barefoot, her silk robe loose over a thin slip. Her hair was tousled. Her eyes, red-rimmed and swollen, told a story her lips refused to speak. "You came," she said. "Yeah," Jared replied slowly, his hand tightening around the handle of his toolbox. "You sounded urgent." She gave a hollow smile. You could say that." He stepped inside. The air was scented. Lilies, maybe. But beneath it was something metallic. Familiar. Like blood. He scanned the room quickly. No signs of chaos. Just a sprawling living space with high ceilings, moody lighting, and silence that pressed on his ears like water. "Where's the light that needs fixing?" Evelyn turned without a word and walked down the hallway. He followed her, boots echoing. "On marble. Here," she said, pushing open a bedroom door. The room was large but freezing. A single table lamp flickered weakly beside a king-size bed. The ceiling light above dangled open, its wires exposed. A bulb had shattered on the floor, glass shards glinting like diamonds. But Jared's eyes went to the bed, and the blood smeared. Across the white sheets. He froze. "What the hell?" "It's not mine," Evelyn said quickly. Seeing where he was looking, he looked at her sharply. Her hands were clean, no cuts, no panic, just that hollow, faraway expression that hadn't left her face. "What happened?" he asked. There was a pause. Then she turned, walked to the edge of the bed and sat, careful not to touch the blood. "It's not what it looks like." "It looks like something very wrong happened here," he said slowly, putting his toolbox down. "Should I be calling?" "The cops!" "No!" Her voice cracked. "No, please, not yet." He stared at her. His instincts screamed, "Get out." But something else made him stay. Maybe it was the way her fingers trembled as she reached for a glass of water. Maybe it was the haunted look in her eyes, like she'd already seen the worst and was bracing for more. "What do you want from me?" he asked softly. She looked up at him. I need to disappear. Jared blinked. Disappear. Yes. Her voice was calm now. There's someone in the bathroom. He's not breathing. His heart dropped. Evelyn stood slowly and walked toward the bathroom door. You can look, she said, voice cold. He followed her. The bathroom was massive, stone tiles, a sunken tub, and in the far corner, a man, face down on the floor. Blood pooling from beneath his head. Jared swore under his breath. Who is he? His name's Malcolm, she said. He wasn't supposed to be here. She leaned against the wall, eyes glassy. He broke in. He said he missed me, that he wanted to talk. But when I tried to make him leave, he got angry, started shouting, grabbing me. She looked down at her arms. There were faint bruises forming near her wrists. I panicked. He slipped on the rug and hit his head. He didn't move. And you didn't call the police? Jared asked, voice low. Evelyn laughed bitterly. Do you know what happens to women like me when men like him die mysteriously in their homes? Jared knew the answer. The tabloids would feast. The cops would circle like vultures. And rich or not, Evelyn would be torn apart. I didn't kill him, she whispered. But no one's going to believe that. He stared at her. Everything in him screamed to walk away. He wasn't a hero. He wasn't her friend. He fixed broken light fixtures and car engines. He didn't cover up suspicious deaths for millionaires. But then Evelyn said the words that changed everything. He ruined my life, she said, eyes burning. And now, I don't know if this is punishment or justice, but I can't go down for this. I can't. Jared clenched his jaw. And then something behind Evelyn moved. Just a flicker. His eyes shot to the shadows near the bathroom door. A black leather boot. It had been still a moment ago. Now it was pointed in a different direction. Shiv! Jared started, but she was already turning. The man wasn't dead. Malcolm groaned, shifting slightly, one bloodshot eye fluttering open, and then in a flash he lunged. The man who wouldn't die, the sound of shattering glass was followed by a wet thud. Then silence. Jared stood over Malcolm, chest heaving, the soap dish in his hand cracked in two. Evelyn was curled on the bathroom floor, her leg bleeding where Malcolm's ring had scraped her ankle. Her breath came in sharp bursts, panicked and shallow. Malcolm didn't move, but this time Jared didn't believe it. Don't get up, he growled, nudging Malcolm's shoulder with the toe of his boot. Nothing. The blood from the back of Malcolm's head was spreading in a thin, dark puddle. He was awake, Evelyn whispered. He grabbed me. No, Jared said, still watching the body. Did you kill him? Jared didn't answer. He didn't know. They dragged Malcolm to the closet. It took effort. He was heavy, and unconscious dead weight made Jared's back scream with each pull. Evelyn had gone eerily quiet, as if some switch had flipped inside her. Her movements were precise, focused. You've done this before, Jared muttered. Evelyn looked at him. No, but I've been around men like him. She opened a drawer and pulled out a roll of plastic wrap, the kind used to seal designer. Gowns. Wrap his hands, she said. What? Fingerprints. Just trust me. He did. Jared had always trusted his gut. And right now, his gut told him two things. One, this night was far from over. And two, Malcolm wasn't done yet. Once the man was wrapped and stuffed awkwardly inside the walk-in closet, breathing shallow but still alive, Jared closed the door and shoved a chair under the handle. They returned to the bedroom in silence. Evelyn sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the blood on her sheets like it was a spilled glass of wine and not evidence of a life nearly lost. You're not calling the cops? Jared asked again. She shook her head. Why not? Evelyn took a long breath, then exhaled. Because Malcolm is the CEO of Lockhart Capital, and he's married. That made Jared sit down. Wait, he's married? To a woman whose father is running for Senate, she said flatly. They've built a public image worth millions, a perfect love story, beautiful lies. And you were the mistress. The secret, the threat. Jared didn't know what to say. Evelyn finally looked up at him. He came here tonight because I ended things, told him I was done. He didn't like that. He's the kind of man who doesn't lose. Her voice cracked. And now, what am I supposed to do, Jared? Wait for him to wake up and finish what he started, or call the cops and watch them protect him instead of me? Jared rubbed his face, exhausted. You still haven't told me why you called me, he said. Out of everyone. Why a poor mechanic? And from Southbrook? Evelyn hesitated. Then she reached into a drawer and pulled out an old photograph. It was a picture of Jared, younger, smiling, standing beside an engine in the same garage where he still worked. I saw this, she said. It was in a human interest story a few years back. Mechanic saves driver from burning wreck. Remember? He did. He didn't like to talk about it. You saved a stranger's life. Risked yours. That stuck with me. She met his eyes. I remembered that face, and I thought, if anyone would help me without asking for anything, it would be you. Jared didn't know what to feel. Flattered, trapped, furious? Instead, he stood. I'm not covering up a murder. You didn't kill him. Neither did you, Jared said quietly. But if he wakes up again... He trailed off. They both knew what might happen. By 4:30 a.m., the house was quiet again. They cleaned the blood as best they could. Jared replaced the shattered bulb and fixed the short circuit that had started this nightmare. Evelyn changed into clean clothes and covered the bruises on her wrists with concealer. I don't know what I'm doing, she said softly, standing in front of the mirror. No one does, Jared replied. He walked toward the front door, toolbox in hand, unsure what came next. But just as he reached for the handle, Evelyn whispered behind him, Stay with me. He turned. What? Just for tonight, she said. Please. He looked at her. The lonely millionaire in a palace of silence, wrapped in fear, begging for company like a child afraid of the dark. He nodded once. Jared didn't sleep. He sat on the edge of the sofa in the guest room, ears tuned for the slightest sound. The closet where Malcolm was stashed was 2 rooms away. At 5:42 a.m. there was a click. He was on his feet instantly, but it wasn't the closet. It was the front door, and a woman walked in, young, blonde, tight red coat, a clipboard in her hands. She froze when she saw him. Oh, I didn't know anyone was here. Who are you? Jared asked, stepping between her and the hallway. Lily, she said. I'm Evelyn's personal assistant. I usually get here early to prepare her schedule. Jared stared at her. And you have a key? Of course. Behind him, Evelyn appeared in the hallway, barefoot again, this time in leggings and a sweatshirt. It's okay, Jared. She's with me. Lily blinked at the tension in the room. Did something happen? No, Evelyn said too quickly. Just a rough night. Lily looked at Jared again. You're not on the list. Jared gave her a half smile. Just fixing a light. An hour later, Lily was gone, sent on a fabricated errand. Evelyn poured coffee with shaking hands. He's still alive, she said. Jared nodded. Then we need to decide what we're doing. Evelyn looked up. What can we do? Tell the truth, or we make him disappear for real. Her cup trembled in her hand. You're serious? I'm serious about not getting you killed. She stared at him, searching his face. Then the doorbell rang. Both froze. Evelyn crept toward the door and peeked through the peephole. Her face went pale. It's his wife. The wife's ultimatum. The doorbell rang again. 3 times. Sharp. Controlled. Like a woman, used to getting what she wanted. Evelyn's hands trembled as she stared at the door. Jared stood next to her, eyes narrowing as he read the text again. I know he's inside. Let me in, or I call the police. How does she know? Evelyn whispered. She's bluffing, Jared said. Trying to scare you. But Evelyn shook her head slowly. No, she knows. Malcolm must have told her something, or she's tracking him. Another buzz, then a knock. Jared stepped back from the door and motioned to Evelyn. You answer. Act normal. Don't let her in too far. I don't want her seeing you, Evelyn said. Jared nodded. I'll go upstairs. Just call if anything goes wrong. Evelyn took a breath so deep it shook her whole body, then opened the door. Standing in the golden morning light was a woman who looked like she belonged on the cover of a political magazine. Ice blonde hair pulled into a low bun, lipstick sharp as blood, tailored black coat, and a stare that could slice glass. Hello, Evelyn, she said. Claire, Evelyn replied stiffly. Claire didn't waste time. Where is he? Evelyn didn't flinch. Not here. Claire's smile was small, amused. That's cute. Try again. I don't know what you're talking about. Claire stepped forward, forcing Evelyn to step back. She didn't enter the house. Just leaned inside far enough to let her perfume snake into the foyer. Crisp, floral, expensive. Last night, Malcolm's phone was pinged at this address. Then it went dark. So you can imagine how concerned I am. Evelyn kept her expression calm. So call him. I did. Claire pulled out her phone. Want to know what I got? She tapped the voicemail and held it up. Malcolm's voice, hoarse and angry. If anything happens to me, check Evelyn. She knows. Then a cough. And silence. Evelyn blinked. Her mouth went dry. Claire slipped the phone back into her coat. I don't know what game you're playing, darling, but let me give you a piece of advice. She stepped closer. If Malcolm's dead, you're not the one in danger. I am. His secrets are mine too. His crimes, his accounts, and if it all comes crashing down, I burn before I let you survive it. Evelyn swallowed. I don't want anything from him. Or you. Claire smiled. But it didn't reach her eyes. That's the problem. Women like you think you can walk away, but we're already inside the machine. There's no way out without blood on the gears. Then she stepped back, cool and calm. Let him go, Evelyn, before this gets worse. And believe me, it can get worse. And with that she turned and walked to a waiting black car parked by the curb. Evelyn shut the door slowly, hands shaking. Upstairs, Jared had heard everything. She's dangerous, he said when Evelyn joined him. That wasn't a warning. That was a threat. She thinks I did something to him. Technically, you did. He tried to kill me. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying none of this matters to people like her. It's about control, image, power. Evelyn's voice cracked. Then what do we do now, Jared? Look toward the guest room, where Malcolm was locked inside the closet. We wake him up. They opened the closet, slowly, cautiously. Malcolm's body was still there, but his eyes were open now. He was conscious and smiling. Morning, he rasped. Evelyn flinched. Malcolm tilted his head. Did you enjoy your sleepover with the handyman? Jared stepped forward. One more word and I will knock you out again. Malcolm's smirk didn't fade. Go ahead, but it won't change what's coming. Evelyn stared at him. What did you tell Claire? Enough to get her here, he said. Not enough to get myself killed, yet. You tried to kill me last night. No, Malcolm said coolly. I tried to scare you. There's a difference. You made me angry, Evelyn. I built you this life. You don't just walk away. I never asked for this life, she snapped. I just wanted to breathe. You think breathing's free in this world? He tried to sit up but winced, pressing. His hand to the back of his head. Blood crusted his hairline. You've made a mess. You made it first, Jared said. We just didn't clean it up. Malcolm looked at him for the first time. What's your name again? Doesn't matter. Malcolm's smile widened. You think you're the hero in this little story, huh? You're just another poor idiot she's using. Evelyn moved, faster than either man expected. She slapped Malcolm so hard his head bounced off the wall. You don't get to talk, she hissed. Then she turned to Jared. We need leverage. They dragged Malcolm out of the closet and tied him to a heavy, antique chair. He didn't resist. He was too calm. Too sure of something they didn't know. "You're going to tell me where the backup drive is," Evelyn said. "The one you keep hidden. The one with the offshore accounts and the bribes and the shell companies." Malcolm blinked. "What? Makes you think I'd do that? Because you're not in control anymore," she said coldly. "And if I go down, I'm dragging you with me." He chuckled. "You think I'm scared of you?" "No," she said, "but you're scared of her." "Claire," Evelyn nodded. "Because she has more to lose than I do," she added. "And if she thinks you've gone rogue, she'll cut you off before the feds even sniff around." Malcolm's smile faltered. "I want the drive," she said again. "Where is it?" Jared watched as Malcolm leaned back in the chair, calculating. Finally, he said, "Top drawer, behind the fake panel. Bedroom office." Evelyn ran to check. When she came back, her hands were shaking, but not empty. She held a sleek black USB drive. "That's everything," Malcolm muttered. "You won't understand most of it, but Claire will." "What's on it?" Jared asked. "Insurance," Malcolm said, "for when people like me lose control." For the next hour, Evelyn and Jared pored over the drive's contents. Encrypted files, bank transfers, photos, names, dates, hidden cameras in hotel rooms, blackmail, bribery, corruption on a global scale. It wasn't just Malcolm. It was them. Claire, her father, the board, half of Lockhart Capital. They weren't just powerful, they were untouchable. Until now, Evelyn looked at Jared. "I can't hold this. If they know I have it, they'll kill me. Then we leak it. Who would believe?" "Me?" Jared thought for a moment. Then he said, "We don't leak it through the news. We make a deal." The deal that was never meant to be Claire's voice slid through the speaker like cold glass. "Claire speaking." Jared held the phone steady. "It's me, the mechanic." Silence, then a short laugh. "Oh, you again?" "I have something you'll want." "I doubt it." "Malcolm's alive. That froze her. He's tied to a chair in Evelyn's guest room, bruised, humiliated, and very much alive." "Is that a threat?" she asked quietly. "No, it's a business offer." Jared glanced at Evelyn, who stood across from him clutching the USB drive like a ticking bomb. "I'm not asking for money," Jared continued. "I'm offering a trade. You get the drive, all of it, no copies. But in return, you disappear. Leave Evelyn alone. Cut her out. No threats. No shadows, nothing." Another pause. "Longer this time. Is Evelyn listening?" Claire asked. "Yes," Jared said. "Good, because I want her to know something. I never hated her. She was just never relevant." Evelyn's lips tightened. Claire sighed softly, like she was bored. "You boys always want to play hero, but you don't understand the world you're stepping into." "Maybe not," Jared said. "But I understand what this drive could do to it." Claire exhaled. "Text me an address. Neutral. Public." She hung up. They met at a closed rooftop bar 2 hours later. Claire arrived in a sleek grey suit, no makeup, her face bare but still stunning in a ruthless, knife-edged way. 2 men stood near the stairwell behind her, armed, no doubt. Jared came alone. Evelyn stayed in the car below, engine running just in case. Jared handed over the drive without ceremony. Claire didn't even look at it. "You didn't make copies?" she asked. "No," Jared replied. Claire raised an eyebrow. "Why should I believe you?" "Because if we had, you'd already be on the news." Her lips twitched. "Fair enough." Jared stepped back. "It's done. You walk away. Evelyn never hears from you again." Claire's smile was faint, polite. "Of course." He hesitated. "No tricks?" She placed the drive in her handbag and straightened. "No tricks. I'm a woman of my word." And then she turned and left. Just like that. Downstairs, Evelyn stared at Jared as he climbed into the passenger seat. "Well?" she asked. She took it. Evelyn exhaled like she'd been holding her breath for a decade. "And she said she's done, that we're safe." But Evelyn didn't relax. "People like her don't just walk away," she whispered. They returned to the house. Malcolm was still tied up, though he'd managed to loosen one wrist. His eyes lit up when he saw Jared walk in alone. "She took it, didn't she?" Malcolm said. "And now you think it's over?" Jared didn't reply. Malcolm laughed. "God, you're dumber than I thought." "She promised," Jared said. Malcolm grinned. "Of course she did, and she'll keep it for a while. But the thing you don't understand is the game's already changed." "What do you mean?" "She needed that drive, but not to protect herself. She needed it to bury everyone else. Claire's not just surviving, she's staging a coup." Evelyn stepped forward. "A coup?" Malcolm turned to her. "She's going to take over the board. Cut me out. Cut everyone out. That drive was her weapon." "You just handed her a loaded gun." Jared blinked. "You're lying." "No," Malcolm said. "I'm just smarter than you." Evelyn stepped back, stunned. "She used you," she whispered. "And she's not finished," Malcolm said. "She'll clean house, burn everything, and when it's over she'll own Lockhart Capital." "And us?" Jared asked. Malcolm grinned. "You'll be collateral. Accidents. Regrettable, of course." That night, Evelyn couldn't sleep. Jared sat on the edge of her bed, staring out the window, his jaw clenched. "We made a mistake," she said. "No," he replied. "We just didn't think like snakes. She's going to kill him. Let her, and then us. Not if we move first." Evelyn looked at him. Jared's face was stone. The one secret. Claire didn't know. Evelyn stared at Jared in the dark, her voice barely above a whisper. "We kept one thing she doesn't." Jared turned to face her. "Yes, something Claire has no idea exists, and something she would burn cities to get her hands on." Evelyn's throat tightened. "The backup copy." Jared shook his head slowly. "Something worse." He stood, walked over to the closet and pulled down a torn canvas bag hidden behind old coats. Inside was a small black device, barely larger than a deck of cards. A voice recorder. Evelyn narrowed her eyes. "What's on it?" Jared looked her dead in the eyes. "Malcolm and Claire, planning everything, including killing the board members." She stepped back, breath caught. "You recorded them?" Jared nodded. "The night I fixed the light, I left my phone in Malcolm's study. It was recording the whole time. Pure accident at first." He sat beside her, holding the device like it was a live grenade. "They were talking openly. I heard them mention you, the false charges they'd file, the plan to fake Malcolm's death to pin it on the board." Claire said, "If one of them dies screaming, it'll scare the rest into silence." Evelyn gasped. "That's attempted conspiracy to murder." "Exactly. And this could send them both to prison for life." Jared nodded again. "But if she finds out you have this," "She won't. Not until it's too late. The plan by sunrise." Evelyn had a plan. Not one born of fear, but strategy. They would force Claire into a corner, use the recording to expose her, but not to the police. "Not yet." "No," Evelyn said. "We go bigger." "How?" "We make it impossible for her to hide. We take this to the board." Jared hesitated. "They're scared of her because they think she holds all the cards. But once they hear this," Evelyn tapped the recorder, "they'll realize Claire's more of a threat than an asset. And Malcolm?" As I'd let him go." "What?" "He's already lost everything. And if we keep holding him, we become no better than them." Jared clenched his jaw, but nodded. "Fine. But he leaves with a warning." Releasing Malcolm, they untied him at dawn. Malcolm's body slumped to the ground, wrists raw. "You think this makes you heroes?" he growled. "No," Evelyn said calmly, "but you're no longer our prisoner. You're a ticking clock." Malcolm squinted. "What do you mean?" Jared stepped forward. "We have the recording. You and Claire, planning murder." Malcolm paled. "You're bluffing. Try me." Malcolm looked between them and finally laughed, hollow and cold. "She'll burn you both alive." "She'll try," Evelyn said. "But you better disappear, Because when this goes public, you'll need a new name, a new face, and a place no one's ever heard of. Malcolm swallowed hard and staggered away. Jared watched him go. One snake down. The boardroom betrayal. 2 days later, Evelyn stood in the boardroom of Lockhart Capital, dressed in a simple black blouse, hair in a low bun, flanked by Jared and 3 USB sticks. 10 board members sat around the glossy oval table. Claire entered 10 minutes late, all polished power and predator grace. "Evelyn," she said, "you weren't invited." Evelyn nodded at Jared, who plugged the recorder into the projector. "Then I'll make it quick." The audio played Claire's voice, then Malcolm's laughter, plans, names of board members, the word elimination used with clinical precision, a pause. When it ended, no one spoke. Claire's mask didn't crack at first, but the air had shifted. One of the senior board members, Ms. Patel, leaned forward. "Is this real?" Evelyn answered without hesitation. "Completely." Claire finally spoke. "This is manipulation." She doctored the recording. Jared pulled out a printed document. Voice match confirmation. FBI-level analysis. "It's real, Claire." Claire's nostrils flared. "What do you want?" Evelyn stepped forward, voice calm but sharp. "Your resignation, today, in writing. No golden parachute, no backdoor deals, and you disappear. If you don't, this recording goes to every news outlet in the country. You'll be done." Silence. Then Claire smiled, wide and chilling. "Do you think you've won?" Evelyn didn't blink. "I know I have." Claire laughed softly, shaking her head. "You don't even realize I'm the only reason this company is still standing. When I go down, so does Lockhart Capital." Ms. Patel stood up. "That's a risk we're willing to take." Claire turned slowly, as if seeing the room clearly for the first time, and realizing her throne was gone. She said nothing more, just walked out. No bag, no goodbye, just silence. That night Jared and Evelyn returned to her home in silence. The air was strangely calm, like a storm had passed but left the ground scorched. She poured 2 glasses of wine and handed him one. He didn't drink it. Instead, he looked at her long and hard. "Why did you trust me?" She looked down, smiled. "Because when I opened my eyes at 2 a.m. that night, you weren't just fixing a light. You were saving my life." He finally smiled too. "I was scared." So was I. They clinked glasses, and for the first time in months, there was no fear in Evelyn's eyes, but outside, someone was watching. Across the street, inside a black car, Malcolm sat in the back seat, face bruised, heart hollow. His burner phone buzzed. A new message. "She's not finished. Neither are we." "See," he stared at it, then typed one word. "Understood." When the fire comes back, it was 3:17 a.m. The light in Evelyn's hallway flickered. She jolted upright in bed. Her breath quickened, not because of the light, but because of the silence. Something was wrong. Downstairs, the dog didn't bark. The wind had stopped. The air felt thick. She reached for her phone. No signal, no bars, just emergency calls only. Then the front gate creaked. She turned off all lights, crept to the upstairs window, and saw it. A car. Parked where Jared usually stood his bike, but this wasn't Jared. This was Claire, dressed in black, red lipstick, cold eyes, and behind her 2 figures, one short, one tall. Evelyn's heart froze. Malcolm, the break-in. The door didn't crash open. It slid quietly, like a predator entering a nursery. They thought she'd be asleep. But Evelyn had waited for this moment her whole life. She moved quietly to the kitchen, pulled out the drawer under the stove. Her hand found the tire iron Jared had once left behind. Her grip was steady, the same hands Claire once called too weak to lead. She positioned herself beside the pantry door. Footsteps crept down the hallway. Malcolm's voice whispered, "Check upstairs." Claire said nothing, just the sound of her heels tapping slowly, then a sound at the back. Jared. Through the broken window, his silhouette slipped inside. Evelyn's eyes met his. He nodded once. It was time. The fire reignites. Claire turned the corner, to the kitchen, and froze. Evelyn stood directly in front of her, iron raised. Claire smirked. You wouldn't. Evelyn's eyes were steady. Try me. Behind Claire, Jared stepped out. Malcolm turned, saw him, and lunged. But this time Jared was ready. He ducked, grabbed Malcolm's coat, and slammed him into the fridge door. Malcolm crumpled. Evelyn didn't flinch. Claire hissed, You really think you've won? You already lost, Evelyn said, voice hard. You just don't know it yet. The hidden camera. Evelyn nodded toward the hallway. Claire turned and saw the tiny red dot blinking from a shelf. A camera. Live streaming. Everything had been recorded. Claire's eyes widened. You, say hi to the internet, Jared said, holding up his phone. Police are on the way, so are 6 reporters. Claire's lip curled. You stupid, fragile little... I'm not fragile anymore, Evelyn whispered. Claire rushed at her. Evelyn moved without hesitation. Whack! The tire iron hit the side of Claire's thigh, not to injure, just to stop. Claire collapsed, screaming, then crawling, begging, Please don't do this. Evelyn stood over her. You destroyed my life, Evelyn said softly, but I rebuilt it. The arrest by 4:02 a.m. Police sirens wailed in the distance. Claire was handcuffed along with Malcolm. No lawyers could protect them from video proof, voice recordings, and an attempted break-in streamed live. The officers shook Jared's hand. You did good, one said, but Jared just turned to Evelyn. I only followed her lead. 3 weeks later, the headlines were everywhere. CEO arrested after midnight break-in, secret audio links, Claire Valen to murder plot, mechanic turned hero, exposes elite corruption. Lockhart Capital issued a public apology. The board asked Evelyn to return, not as assistant, but as interim CEO. She said no. Instead, she created something new, a foundation, one for women like her, left behind, humiliated, manipulated, discarded. She called it Second Light. The name made Jared smile. Epilogue. The rooftop. 1 month later, Evelyn stood on the rooftop of a quiet building downtown. She wore jeans, soft scarf, and hope. Jared joined her, carrying 2 coffees. She took hers, eyes scanning the sunrise. Funny, she said. I thought revenge would feel heavier. Jared nodded. Sometimes justice does the heavy lifting for you. She looked at him. Why did you stay that night? He smiled. Because when I looked at you, I saw a woman who didn't want saving, but someone to stand beside her while she saved herself. Evelyn's eyes shimmered. He took her hand. Not as a rescuer, but as a partner. Final line. Sometimes the light goes out, but if you're brave enough to wait in the dark, it finds its way back, brighter, stronger, and yours, the end.